YouTube, how's it going? Welcome back to Bananas Epic Gaming. And today on Bananas Epic Gaming, we are doing another episode of CageTalk. And this episode of CageTalk is a re-ranking video. But we're going to be doing this series by itself instead of doing the entire universe. This is going to be the re-ranking / ranking of the originals. So please be sure to smash that like button, tap that little bell on that YouTube app so you never miss an upload. And let's get into it. Coming in 5th place is going to be The Originals, Season 4. Okay, so now Season 4 of The Originals is split up into 3 parts, like most of TV shows are, especially The Vampire Diaries. And the first 5 episodes are in the Homecoming chapter. And we start off this season 5 years after peace. Because of what happened in season 3 with Klaus and his siblings. The fall of the Michelsons. So vampires are flocking to New Orleans, threatening peace, while Haley is out trying to find a cure that could wake up all the Michelsons from their magical slumber. And to seek Klaus from Marcel's captivity. Obviously, the first person she wakes up is Freya, and Freya says they gotta hurry. And Haley needs to find these 7 werewolf tribes because of what happened, what Marcel got turned into. And she has 5 other tribes' venoms, not including hers. So they gotta find the last one, and that's what we're trying to do in the first episode. And while all this is happening, a new sinister force is at work, and that is the main antagonist for this season, and it is called the Hollow. And it is manipulating fights between the humans and the supernatural creatures alike for power to get rid of Marcel from the city. As Klaus reunites with his daughter, who is 5 years older from the last time he saw her, to keep his family safe from this new threat that looms, to sacrifice Hope, to go after Hope, and other New Orleans children kids in bid for power, as this darkness spreads throughout New Orleans. Chapter 2 is the Sacrifice chapter. And the Sacrifice chapter, basically, the Hollow grows in power and numbers and followers. It seeks out to sacrifice a powerful being to resurrect itself. Its origins are 1,500 years old, powerful witch, as it is revealed, as well as the fact that it also cursed all the families present to make the werewolf curse through her death. Vincent works his magical route out to root out the source of his power, while Eliza takes matters into his own hands like he normally does, and inherits the harvest ritual. With the return of the ancestors through Davina's spirit, Klaus and Haley reunite with an old friend, and they race against time to re-imprison the Hollow, though she takes refuge in a vessel close to Marcel. As she gathers all the necessary components to complete her resurrection, the Michaels are forced to make a tough decision. Which one of their siblings is going to be targeted and sacrificed by the Hollow to be reborn and with all its powers that it be given as a living being. Chapter 3 is the Hollow chapter. In the wake of Eliza's death, along with his entire sideline, the siblings reunite, including Cole and Rebecca, to face a newly resurrected Hollow, who wields devastating power as she pits siblings against one another. Davina's life is in balance after the Hollow brings her back to life, bound to the Hollow in order to force Cole into being her bodyguard until he has Hope break the link. And that's when Davina realizes that maybe there is some good in this family other than Cole. The Hollow is now defeated by Haley as she is her descendant. She targets and possesses Hope before the ancestors could imprison her. Using her as the new vessel, Haley seeks Freya's help to free her daughter, though she easily dispatches those that would oppose her. With Vincent out of options, he reverses a plan that would change the Microsins, saying always and forever. The Pact, always and forever. As the Hollow gathers followers for a final crusade, Marcel and Klaus team up to rescue Hope as Vincent and Freya perform a necessary spell to separate the Hollow from Hope and put him in all the Microsin siblings, and they all go their separate ways, and that's the ultimate sacrifice. As Vincent splits the Hollow into the originals, separating the siblings for all time, for the rest of the time that they're alive. The siblings start to take their own lives as Haley takes Hope away from New Orleans. With a hope for her to begin a new normal life, Marcel leaves New Orleans to join Rebecca after being allowed by Elijah to compel him to forget the memories of always and forever. Cole wants to propose to Davina, while Klaus looks on Elijah and Franz through the glass, and Elijah does not recognize him. Now, this season, I really didn't care about this season. It's like a 50-50 season for me. This one and season 5, I didn't really care for. But I really didn't like the Hollow that much. So that's why I didn't really like this season. Yes, we have Davina, and yes, we have Haley in this, and they are amazing, amazing actresses. And we got the Niklaus and Eliza Michelson, Joseph and Daniel. Amazing. I love their chemistry. I love their bond that they have. But for me, the villains are what does it for me for this season. Season 5 is not that better, but season 5 has a certain moment that I'll talk about when we get to season 5 on this ranking that is sad. Now let's get on to the next season. Coming up next, we have the originals, season 5. Okay, so the original season 5 picks up, I want to say 7 years after the sacrifices the Michael family did to absorb the Hollow, dark energy, and had to flee New Orleans. Hope is now a young teenager, and she wants to bring her family closer together. And this chapter, the final chapter of the originals series, is split up into 3 parts. Chapter 1 is the Haley chapter. The chapter deals with Hope's determination to see her dad again, which ends up triggering a conflict of the fractions of the vampires called the Nightwalkers. Haley gets kidnapped, and then the Nightwalkers leader Greta tries to blackmail Klaus into binding Hope's werewolf side as Klaus refuses. Greta and her son Roman try to bind Haley and Hope themselves, succeeding with the former. When Klaus and Caroline come to rescue them, Eliza fights his brother because he doesn't remember who he is. And Haley kills Greta, but at that cost, it costs her her life. And the main antagonists for this chapter are Greta, Roman, Klaus, Elijah, and the Harlow's dark magic. And we fast forward to chapter 2, and that's the Nightwalkers chapter. This chapter deals with the aftermath of Haley's death and the influence of the Hollow is becoming stronger. Ivy, a witch in New Orleans, tells Klaus that the curse will kill all firstborns in New Orleans if he doesn't stay away from his family. Desperately, Hope forces the Hollow out of the Michelssons to put it in herself. Elijah recovers his memories, and everything floods back to him, and that's an emotional scene. And that emotional scene I was talking about was Haley's death scene, and when Klaus went to a tree, like in the bayou, where her pack resigned, and like carved her name in, and did a little speech for her. But meanwhile, as all this is going on, the Nightwalkers, now led by Emmett, try to purge New Orleans of both werewolves and hybrids. This ends with Hope using the Hollow's powers to kill all of Greta's followers by triggering her werewolf curse in the process. And obviously the main antagonists are Emmett and the Nightwalkers and the Hollow's magic. And this is episode 5-7 through 5-10. Chapter 3, the Legacy chapter. This chapter deals with the Hollow's curse slowly killing Hope, and Klaus will have to save his daughter. Before Freya and Keelan's wedding, Keelan is one of the werewolves that Haley got her venom from. Davina tells Klaus that Hope's condition will only get worse and that she might not survive her first transformation during the full moon. Klaus and Eliza take Hope to Mystic Falls, seeking help from Caroline's siphoned daughters, the twins, Josie and Lizzie. And they are two of the three main people in the TV show Legacies. As the twins siphon the hollow out of Hope and put it into Klaus, he tries to sacrifice himself. Hope and Eliza stop Klaus and take him back to New Orleans as they realize that Klaus killing himself is the only way to finally defeat the Hollow. They give Klaus time to say his last goodbyes to everybody. Marcel and Rebecca get together and they get their happy ending, and they, with the promise that they will eventually take the cure and live a human life. Vincent agrees to start a family with Freya and Keelan. Hope decides to go back to the Salvatore boarding school for the young and gifted, basically like their own Charles Xavier's school, like their own X-Men school for supernatural creatures, is what I think that was like a little nod to it. As Klaus prepares to kill himself, Eliza reveals that he wishes to die by his side. He told the family, and they both stake each other in agreement that if there is only darkness after death, they will face it together. And the main antagonist for the last 3 episodes of the originals is the Hollow. Now, all in all, I liked this season. It ended on a sour-ish note, sad note, that Klaus, the mighty hybrid, and his loyal brother Elijah died. That made everybody sad. But Klaus's memory lives on through Hope. And we've gotten to see Hope's journey in Legacies. This was a good send-off for the originals. I don't hate this season, but I like season 3, 2, and 1 a lot better because of the villains and the supporting cast and the story. I think the first 3 seasons were the best in my mind. All in all, Legacy Season 5 was a good ending chapter to the Klaus and Eliza story. And I agree with what Joseph and what Daniel said, that they feel like it ended on a good note. Now on to the next season. Coming in 3rd place, we have the Originals Season number 1. And so the original Season 1 is basically about the original vampires fighting for control over the French Quarter of New Orleans, which they helped build over 300 years ago before their return. And this season is split up into 4 chapters. We got Season 1, The Return, that focuses on the original vampires returning to New Orleans in an attempt to gain control of the city, as well as dealing with the looming threat of Davina's unique power and the human faction. The main antagonists are Marcel, Davina, Klaus, and Agnes. And then we go to see chapter 2. The hardest chapter focuses on Davina rapidly growing uncontrollable power and the side effects of the failed harvest ritual that she was a part of, as well as the emergence of the Bayou wolf pack and Klaus's parental bloodline. Klaus and Davina are the antagonists here. Season 1, Chapter 3 is the Revenge chapter. Focuses on the resurrection of 3 very powerful angry witches and the revelation of Celeste's survival and the revenge of the Michelson family, and the exploration of the events in New Orleans almost a century before. Celeste, Genevieve, Papatundo, Michael, and Niklaus are the antagonists here. Then we go to chapter 4. The Frictions chapter focuses on Eliza's attempt to broker peace between all the factions within the city. The Wolves return to power, the reformation of the human faction, Father Kieran scrambling to the Witch's Hex, and Marcel's growing rebellion. Now, this was a really good start to this series, and it just got better from here. So we got season 2 and season 3, which I thought were tremendous seasons, and it's hard for me to rank those 2 seasons. And this is where hope is born. Hope is born here, and everybody wanted Hope to die because of the prophecy of that. The Michelson's prophecy about Hope. And obviously, Hope did not die in this season. I thought that season 1 was a tremendous start to a good series. Now on to the next season. Now, this was hard for me to rank because do I switch it up or not? But I'm just going to go with my gut and my heart. And coming in second place, The Originals Season 2. Now, the original Season 2 and 3 for me are really hard to figure out which one I like the most, because I like both of them the same. I love these 2 seasons. But I'm just going to go with Season 3 because Season 3 to me is the nearly perfect season. But let's talk about Season 2 for a little bit. Season 2 starts off with the heroes, Klaus, Elijah, and Rebecca, adjusting to life with a new status quo. The newly empowered werewolves are controlling the city. Klaus is adjusting to his new weakness, that being hope. Elijah, who is desperate to save Haley, who's now a hybrid from a vicious downward spiral. And this season is obviously split up into 3 chapters. The first chapter is the Esther chapter. Esther is their mom. And this chapter deals with the newly empowered werewolves who are ruling New Orleans and their moonlight rings that stop them from shifting are weakening Klaus. Klaus, along with Eliza and Haley and Marcel, track down the Guerrero family, while Marcel's trying to build a new vampire army. However, our heroes are confronted with the Michelson's mother, Esther, who has a dangerous plan for her kids, with Cole and Finn by her side, who are possessing bodies of witches, and she has the werewolves under her control. Esther poses a threat to Klaus's and Haley's child, Hope. At the same time, Klaus is confronted with his darkest fear, his father, Michael, who is resurrected from the dead by Davina's control, who is determined to continue his quest to kill Niklaus. Chapter 2, the Finn chapter. This chapter focuses on Finn and Michael's alliance to destroy Klaus and his siblings, along with their allies trying to cause war between the vampires and the wolves. Meanwhile, Cole's in trouble because he's been hexed by Finn to die. Davina becomes desperate enough to team up with the original family's members, Elijah, Rebecca, and Niklaus. As Finn plots revenge against his family, he is reunited with his older sister, Freya. This is the season that Freya comes into place. Freya is a witch who was locked up in the asylum, and she escapes the asylum with Rebecca after Cole placed her spirit inside of Eva Sinclair. he placed Rebecca's spirit inside of Eva Sinclair, a witch who was in the asylum. As Finn is defeated, Freya warns her siblings that their Aunt Dahlia is coming for Hope, because she made a deal with Esther about taking every firstborn for every generation in their family's bloodline. To free her werewolves from Finn's control and gain her an army to defend Hope, Haley marries Jackson in the unification ceremony, allowing their pack to access her powers. And the antagonists in this chapter are Finn, Freya, and Michael. Chapter 3 is the Dahlia chapter. This chapter begins as Eva Sinclair regains control over her body from Rebecca and prepares to do a dark ritual that grants her tremendous power, but she is soon stalked by the originals and her former husband Vincent. Dahlia comes to New Orleans with the intent of getting what she was promised over a millennium ago, Hope, the firstborn child like Freya was. Niklaus and his family face off against her as he tries to take Hope for Hope's powers, wanting to become immortal and an immortal witch by channeling Hope's unique powers. In the war against Dahlia, secret alliances were made, such as Klaus and Michael. Deep betrayals occur that pit our heroes against each other, just like Klaus and Haley, and tragic deaths and tragedies haunt the heroes before they face Dahlia one last time after they win the war by killing Dahlia. Now, this season was top-notch, high stakes, and they knocked it out of the park in my mind. And Joseph Morgan, who plays Niklaus, this is one of his best seasons as Klaus. Season 2 and 3, in my mind, are the top two seasons in the originals for Niklaus, because he really comes through. And what he does at the end of season 3, which is what we'll talk about soon, he nails it in my mind. Now on to the best season. Now, obviously, the best season of the originals in my mind, and my personal opinion, is the originals. Season number 3. Now, the original season 3, this season still has high stakes that are going into effect today in Legacies because of Aurora. Season 3 of the originals, from top to bottom, I thought it was amazing. It is split up into 3 chapters. The big thing about the original season 3, they have a prophecy, and throughout the season, you're wondering who is going to be the one to fulfill this prophecy, who's going to be the one to betray, etc., etc. Chapter 1 is called the Trinity chapter, and the Trinity, the first 3 vampires sired by the originals, come to New Orleans with the news of a prophecy foretelling the death of the 3 remaining original vampires that have their sire lines. As the originals try to prevent the prophecy, the Trinity try to take control of it and imprison their sires, resulting in betrayals, secret alliances, and deaths. And the main antagonists are Lucian, Tristan, the Strix, and Aurora. And obviously, Aurora is the only one still alive because she's still wreaking havoc in Legacies as of right now. Chapter 2 is called The Weapon. In wake of Tristan's failed plan to imprison the originals for all time, Aya begins to make moves to prevent the prophecy by finding the weapon when the wood from the toy Klaus gave his daughter turns out to be white oak. Different fractions try to claim it when Cammy is dealing with her new life as a vampire because she got turned. With Vincent's help, Aurora returns to steal the weapon, wanting revenge for her brother's eternal imprisonment by killing Klaus and Elijah with the white oak stake. She wants to put her brother out of misery by killing Elijah and kill Klaus for breaking her heart with wooden bullets from a white oak stake. After extending to the leadership of the Strix, part of Elijah's plans to use the Strix as an army to protect him, Marcel secretly aids the Mycosins while using Davina's magic to sever a fatal link between Klaus and his sire line, which gave her the power to resurrect Cole. Cole is officially back as an original vampire. While successful at stopping Aurora from unlinking all of the originals from their sire lines, so Aurora could kill them, Klaus has been unlinked from his sire line, leaving him vulnerable to his sires and all his enemies that he's made throughout the years. Now we go to Chapter 3, The Beast. Now this is where it gets really bad. With his sire line being broken, Klaus is forced to flee New Orleans as his enemies come to New Orleans to end his life. Accompanied by Haley and Hope, he discovers a conspiracy as the wolves from all 7 original packs are captured and are imprisoned to create a werewolf toxin that can kill Klaus himself, that he cannot heal from. Meanwhile, as Eliza and Freya deal with their brothers Cole and Finn's return from the dead, Lucian sets in motion a plan to become the greatest threat to the Mycosins that they've ever faced and ever will face. In addition, Vincent and Davina take a stand when the spirits of the ancestral plane goes too far, as the war on the Mycosins are personally affecting the two. After the ruthless assaults by Lucian and the ancestors results in casualties against the Mycosins and their loved ones, and Marcel spirals out of control, becoming the dangerous threat that Lucian was, because they killed Lucian off, and then Marcel became the new dangerous threat. And the main antagonists for this season are Lucian, Cortez, and the Ancestors. Now, I really, really like this season. I thought that the selfless act that Klaus did, he put himself into a deep slumber, like we talked about earlier in the season 4 review and thoughts, so his family could live, and Freya and Haley could find cures to cure everybody in his family. So I thought that was a really, really big leap forward in character development for Klaus, and I loved it, because I love character development. And that's my thoughts on the original series. I know it's not really that much different from when I did the ranking of the entire Vampire Diaries and the originals and half of the Legacies series a while ago, but this is what I actually think about them, and I could talk about them individually and not have to rush through them. I want to thank you guys for watching. Please be sure to like and subscribe. Tap the little bell on that YouTube app so you guys never miss an upload. And I'll see you guys on the next one. Take care. I just want to let you guys know more Cage Talks coming soon. Take care.